But here we are, top left-hand corner of Berlingrad. Our Group B winners final between these two players. The blue Terran player for Dragon Phoenix Gaming. This is Cure.
And in the bottom right, playing for Team NV. One of the players that actually got me into StarCraft 2 personally, it is not DPG, the team. No, it is in fact the player, DRG.
So Cure, DRG. I mean, two like powerhouse titans of the Korean scene. Both of them, like, are we prepared to call them like older members of the StarCraft 2 scene? I mean, they've both been around for quite some time. DRG especially.
Yeah, I think Dong Regu we can call a veteran, and definitely one of the oldest players currently playing StarCraft 2, because he was playing in Wings of Liberty. Like, he's been around since the very beginning of StarCraft 2. I mean, at one point, he was considered, I think, one of the best, if not the best, Korean players in Heart of the Swarm or in Wings of Liberty. Yeah, DRG's had such a long and storied career. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, Cure in of himself, I mean, spending a lot of time growing as a player for Jin Air Green Wings before they were completely disbanded into their different parts. But I mean, he's still what I would call a very veteran player all the way through. And while he might not have the exact same amount of years as his opponent, I think to say that both players have the experience they need to qualify for a tighter Code S than before, I think that would be a fair statement to make. And both of these players, I think, have the opportunity to shine in a very great way.
Yeah, I mean, Cure for the longest time was that Terran player who was just a step below the others. You had the Horsemen, and they were, of course, the best Terran players in Korea. And then I think below that you had, Cure. Back then you had Alive was, I think, definitely the step below. And those are that was kind of the level of Terrans that you didn't quite make it into the tournaments. You were still like really trying to get good. As we do see, hey, Reaper managed to get a kill onto one of the Lings, so already that micro battle going the way of Cure. But as soon as they disbanded, I think Cure really started to step into his own around the end of the Jin Air Green Wings, really finding his stride, becoming his own player. And it's been great to see because he definitely does have a very unique style. Cure, I would definitely say is similar to a player like Trap, but the Terran version, where Cure will hit every timing absolutely perfectly, and he'll micro them as well as he can. You're not going to see like something crazy though. You're not going to see Cure go for a proxy 2-axe. That almost never happens, but he does just hit all of his timing so well. His build orders are so tight.
Yeah, I would agree with that assessment. I've always seen Cure as a very like vanilla maybe is the wrong way, because I don't want that to sound like a negative thing. Oh, he doesn't get creative. He doesn't ever utilize the tools. I don't think that's the case. But I would just say more to kind of your assertion, where we're not going to see anything reliably crazy or like, wow, I've never seen that played before. But I think more times than not, he's very comfortable playing into the meta. I mean, we're seeing Viking into Liberator right now. Liberator is very comfortable in the kind of the older meta, to be real honest with you. I mean, we're seeing a lot of Cloak Banshee in the current meta right now, but Cure's still rocking a very fan favorite in the Terran world. He's already got his third base flying out on site. Stimpak's on the way. He's supply blocked his opponent. He's done everything a Terran should do by the 4-minute mark.
Yeah, the Liberator as an option is definitely, it's a lot cheaper is the thing. You're still going to be able to get safe harassment. You're going to be able to at least get drones pulled. You're going to be able to get a response out of the Zerg, but you're never going to be able to find the amount of damage that a Cloak Banshee would. The micro ability of the Cloak Banshee is much higher. We're actually seeing a dive here onto the Queens because there are just so many Hellions available and there are no transfuses. That should be another Queen going down, and already Cure actually just getting a ton of value at the start of this game. This third Queen just has to get on out as the Liberator does siege on up. Still a micro battle at the front. Cure will eventually have to back on out, but hey, get a few drones. You're going to start to gets the larva, you're going to be able to snipe an egg here that was morphing in some Zerglings. And this is already so much value. Oh, the Hellions! Oh, the block doesn't come through! Oh, DRG, this is not the start that you wanted to this game.
No, this is chaos. 12 drones have gone down. That Liberator was a hero in so many ways. So what came at the cost of 8 Hellions and a Liberator was a lot of economic advantage for DRG. So now we're going to find the Zerg player down in worker count. The third base is already situated. The bio count is already on the move. I mean, there are going to be lings here that will cause at least a little bit of chaos and maybe a little return damage on the SCV count. But one SCV Titan, not near enough of a response.
Yeah, I mean, losing that many drones early on, it's not just the fact that you have to re-drone up, but when you're re-droning, you're not building other units. You're not spending that money on upgrades, on, your tech. It's just so much that you have to invest getting your economy back into a comfortable position. And Pure here actually might be able to almost snipes the Overlord with the last dying breath of that Viking, but is not quite able to. And behind this, well, Kira's just kind of sitting dandy at home. He's working on his +1/+1 combat shields. He's got Marines coming on out. The armory is perfectly on time, so that's going to line up to start his 2-2. And it's just really solid play right now from Kira at the start of this game. And it means that he's not going to be able to, capitalize on this damage that he did early on right off the bat. But when he hits his upgrades, when that 1-1 finishes, he's going to have such a strong push.
I was actually really impressed here with the pull at the third base, and at the same time he's like, whatever, I got that all figured out. Let me kill some creep tumors here. So he scans across the map. It's just very, very bold play here by Kira. Kira knows that he's in a really wonderful position for himself that he's created. I mean, he made this happen, and he wants to continue to capitalize on it. That 2-2 timing is going to be able to line up, like you said, that armory just finishing up, combat shield and +1 about to finish as well. And that's going to more than likely spark a really strong timing here for Cure, who has some Widow Mines, is starting to mix in some Marauders as a part of this count as well, and really working to put himself in a better position. Oh, that Queen going down. A second Queen going down with so much energy on it here. Cure is trying to get a lot of damage done with this small amount of units.
Yeah, I mean, when you're working with just roaches, which DRG has gone into, it's the safer option. You can defend better with roaches, but they are not going to match the maneuverability of this Terran army, which is just able to poke and prod wherever it wants. It can pick up, lift on, get on out, and Kira's decided, hey, you're going for roaches. I'm just not going to attack. I'm going to get 2-2. I'm going to start working on tanks, get my +1 vehicle weapons, and I'll sit back at home absolutely fine with whatever you're doing and just continue to harass. As these roaches are going to get a bit of value, sniping a few of these supply depots, which will be annoying for the Terran, as that supply block is going to come through. And actually, still no response from Kira because he's microing across the map. He's trying to find damage on 2 fronts, but the one on the right side will be cleaned up in the main. Hasn't been able to move in just yet. Finally cleans out those roaches at his third. Just have to deal with that nasty supply block, though. But here we go, diving on into the mineral line, and there's already going to be a lot of drone kills going down before the roaches do force off that pickup.
Yeah, he does have a decent amount of supply depots on the way, so his supply block is not going to last very long. And I think in the grand scheme of things, Cure's probably going to be a little bit happier to lose out on supply depots than he would on SCVs. Limiting that SCV kill count to only 5 in this game, but DRG has taken this opportunity to spike here. 195 is the supply count here for the Zerg player, and Cure doesn't necessarily have that much defense back at home. He's got a couple of tanks, but is that going to be enough to stop this overwhelming force of Zerg?
Yeah, I mean, right now it is so much Roach Ravager 137 supply because DRG is actually down in the worker count, and he's going to try and bust down this third base. The tanks haven't fallen yet, though, and look at DRG's supply drop as the Ravagers start to fall. Where's the vision? Where's the crook? The vials are finally going to start to come through, but everything is dying, and those tanks just needed to go down, and this was absolutely a game one for DRG, but Cure able to keep them alive, able to block with his Marines. And that means that DRG is somehow not going to be able to find a killing blow there.
God, I mean, that was everything that Cure needed in the defense. Fortunately, though, for DRG, 24 workers did go down, and there was enough of a bank, so there's going to be units on the rebound. This, without any tank support, might find the killing blow here for DRG, as he is going to try and stutter step forward and get on top of these units that are very stemmed down. The energy from the Metavacs not infinite here, as he's going to start working on that third base. The units get pulled out of that third base as well. There are going to be Ravager Bios to try and nuke down a little bit of that orbital command if he wants to, but instead he is going to reserve that for these bio forces that need to find some more damage to push this army back and away. One tank is not going to quite be enough. The second tank on the low ground is going to be helpful. Only 3 Ravagers at this point to keep things alive. You're going to try and start a step forward once again. He has to get this third base re-secured. Titan, this is important for the Terran player in this game.
Yeah, I mean, it's 2-2 bio. DRG should not stick around for too much longer. He has redroned behind this. He has a 4th base. You've delayed the 3rd. You've gotten worker kills. You should be pretty happy with this as DRG. And he's finally going to back on up. More Roaches, a Hydra Den on the way, and his own 2-2 are going to be worked on. And so that means that Cure will have a bit of time to get back into a decent position in this game. It's going to take a while. And behind that, DRG is also going to try and prepare an answers. It's 2 tanks at a time for Cure. And his +3/+3 upgrade should also be rolling around pretty soon. That armor, not started up just yet, but I imagine that Cure will catch that pretty shortly. Yeah, there we go.
I mean, this is seeming like a pretty good position for the Terran player to be in, getting that 3-3 on the way. I mean, 2-2 for DRG is only now halfway done, and he's really trying to invest in an army that's not going to fight as well against that Terran bio. I mean, we do see Hydras on the way, and if those Hydras aren't going to be on the path to Lurkers, that's not going to be the kind of army that DRG needs here. But with Hive Tech on the way, that does seem to be an indicator that Lurkers are going to be on the mind of our Zerg player. It's only a matter of time before we see that Lurker Den go down. But things are starting to really shake out for the Terran player who has his 4th base. It's not on site just yet, but very easy to float that out at this point.
Yeah, I mean, the really big thing is that Cure held on to that push. He didn't allow it to kill him, and the 3 tanks were just enough to survive and hold on. As look at that, we do just have Shelly the Swarm Host being produced in the production tab. Unfortunately, her life will not be amounted to much. She's kind of just the desk worker of the Zerg army. She's there. That's what she does. But the Lurker Dens are on the way, and actually 2 at a time. So DRG is going to try and get into both those Lurker upgrades. And
we've been seeing more of that lately, Titan, where Zerg players are going to go into double Lurker Den to expedite those upgrades. You get range and speed at the same time, and then you can just kind of pounce on your opponent in a way that, I mean, you wouldn't have been able to otherwise. And I think that is becoming a little bit more of a fan favorite here as DRG is going to try and capitalize on it himself.
Yeah.
He does get that 5th base down into position, but Cure is ready to strike. I don't think DRG has much time to waste.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many tanks available, and this Lurker time is going to be important. If DRG can hit it, then he's going to be in a great position this game. Seismic Spines, Adaptive Talent started up, 8 Lurkers on the way. DRG is trying to hold on, because once those upgrades are done, you can absolutely pounce on the Terran army, but just look how much there is for Cure. So many tanks pushing on in here. As, I mean, the Roaches are going to try and stop it, but that's 3-3 bio. That's pretty soon. And, I mean, this 4th base, it's not really long for the world for DRG. He's going to pull the drones to say, all right, I give up this hatchery. And Cure right now, his standing army is just so powerful.
Yeah, it's unfortunately for DRG is a very strong timing from Cure, and it's going to be difficult for him to try and push that back, but a really, really nice counter on the units in the main. That's at least going to alleviate a little bit of the pressure, but there's so much ready to pop here on the top side of the map. So DRG's decided he's got to run across the map. He's got to find damage elsewhere, and these tanks are going to try and get down in position. The upgrades are now complete here. Seismic Spine's going to allow those Lurkers to try and get some additional damage. The Viper is able to help out, but it's trades across the map here at this point. Another hatchery goes down. There's no major base damage coming down here for Cure just yet. So right now, DRG is bleeding out, and he's got nothing to show for it.
Yeah, I mean, the tanks are just getting so much value. The 3-3 bio is trading so well as the Lurkers are going to try and continue to push on up. And it just feels like, I mean, Cure just has such a better army for fighting. The Lurkers, they do well, but just look how much there is across the map. Cure's going to be able to absolutely chew through these bases. DRG is going up into the main. He's going to actually try and be able to get that burrow. No scan used just yet, but his hatcheries are going down. He needs to find critical damage, and Cure's just still rallying units out. He can scan, he can siege up a tank. He has +2 available for these tanks. That just means they do so much damage. As DRG, it was, I mean, I think the best idea, the best possible chance for him. The Cure was ready with those reinforcements, and Unfortunately, it looks as though Cure should be able to at least clean up all the bases and then head back home to clean up the army and finish off this game.
And that's the biggest downside here for DRG, is DRG is going to be left with almost nothing here. This army here back at home now finally able to take on the forces in the main, and DRG has not traded enough. He is going to fall one game to his Terran opponent, and Cure goes up 1-0. We're having a good time here. But in any case, 2,000 atmospheres, bottom left-hand corner, the blue Zerg player currently down 0-1 for Team NV. This is DRG.
And in the top right, looking to make it a swift 2-0 to allow him to qualify for GSL Code S. It, of course, is Dragon Phoenix Gaming's Cure. And guess who's being cheeky when I said that he was never cheeky? It's Cure.
You know, I'm glad that we can both take the losses with, like, kindness and respect, because I saw the workers go out on the map, and I was kind of like, oh, don't say it, don't say it, don't say anything. It's probably nothing. It's probably just a misrally, but you're absolutely right. It's a 2 racks. What's the meme? There's so many 2 racks, 3 racks builds, I never see them lose, something like that.
Yeah. Terran's so OP, I see so many 2 racks builds, and they never seem to lose. But yeah, I mean, Cure's going to be going for the cheese here, and we'll see what the response is from DRG. Of course, going to wait for that first Marine to pop out, and then you start to move out. Unfortunately for our Zerg player, he has scouted the wrong side of the map. He did not scout with that second Overlord. He actually sent it across the map immediately, and that means, oh, DRG is even going to see the Marine. Should be able to see the SCVs. Bunkers are building. 2 Queens immediately started up. Where is the drone pull, though? There we go. All the drones being pulled off the line is absolutely the response that you need. I mean, a Spine Crawler is also much appreciated. With 2 Marines already out, they can actually stutter step this quite well. A third as well. And, I mean, Curie's actually just pulling these drones all the way out. He says, hey, listen, that's pretty valuable. And now he's pulled it back to where he has 4 Marines. He's going to start to already get drone damage done. Where you go down, and he can just continue to stutter step this away for fall. And, I mean, sure, Cure's not getting the bunker up behind this, but you're still finding damage.
Yeah, I was going to say, I kind of like that for DRG for a while. I mean, you take the fight out away from the bunker, and suddenly it's a better balanced match. Balance in heavy air quotes. But losing 7 drones, that's never an exchange that you want to see happen here, even if you defend the bunker, because at that point, now Cure has gotten all the damage done that he needs to, and he's saved 75 minerals on the top of it as well. So it's now going to be a better trade for him. He can still continue to produce Marines out here. This has not been pressured enough to where it needs to go. And back at home, there's a factory in the wall. Titan, it's all beautiful here for the Terran player. He's getting a second base already. This is great for him.
Cure is very, very happy right now with the situation of this game. Finally picks up those 2 barracks. He's going to fly them off across the map as they go retreating home to mommy. They're saying, listen, I tried playing with the neighbors' kids. They weren't very nice. They threw rocks at me. I didn't like it. But yeah, I mean, now Cure just has this group of Marines, and he's really just going to use them to try and deny the 3rd base. You don't do much more than that. If you try and fight straight up, that's not going to work out. And of course, you're watching for that metabolic boost timing. But behind it, as you said, Cure's got a factory. He's got a starport on the way. I mean, it's really up to him what he wants to do from here on out in this game, because he was ahead in workers for a little bit. He, of course, has dropped behind now as DRG has just purely produced drones. But he's not, I mean, you're not really worried about that as the Terran. You already got your natural base on the way. You got your transition ready.
Yeah, and this is about as good of a situation as the Terran player could have hoped for. Now, DRG is going to get down to his 3rd base, so it's not all down and out. And it's at a pretty reasonable timing given the command center timing here for Cure. So 34 to 26 ends up being the current worker count. And Cure going to go into something a little bit more stock standard. Gets the Cloak Banshee out, but this is actually possibly going to play very well into Cure's favor. DRG's been slowed down heavily on his tech. There's not going to be a lair anytime soon. So the fact that there's going to be Overseer on the map, that's going to be a long ways away. I'd even be surprised if at this point we saw any major investment into a Spore Crawler preemptively. So that suddenly could play very well into Cure's favor here, as this Tuling's not going to be able to scout information, and they don't even get the supply depot. They just run away empty-handed.
Yeah, I mean, Cloak Banshee, this was Cure's bread and butter for a while. His micro with these units is so good, as well the Overlord will scout out the Cloak there. So, doesn't know the fact that his Banshees, we should see the Spore Crawlers produced fairly shortly here. Of course, I mean, the Banshees, even if they don't get damage done in the main base, in the mineral lines, can be used just to harass Queens. It can be used with a push. There's so much utility that comes with this unit. There's so much micro ability. And in the hands of a player like Cure, it can wreak absolute havoc. So we'll see how he ends up using it. It does have that Banshee pocketed away on the left side of the map. We'll finally move it in as Cloak finishes up. But it's already a third CC behind this. It's additional barracks. It's stim pack. Cure's just kind of hitting everything. And DRG's, I mean, he's got Roaches on the way, but Roaches are not really a unit you want to be building on a slow economy.
Well, I think DRG is thinking in the short term here. He doesn't want to drag this game out. He knows the longer that this game goes on, the worse position he's going to be in. No Spore Crawler at that third base location. That's a bit of a brutal choice for DRG as his Banshee can start working away on kills. The second Banshee comes as well, and that doesn't even need to cloak right now. It's just going to be allowed to fire uncontested. This Banshee's already got 6 drone kills. 6 in total. There's nothing to stop these Banshees from just wreaking more havoc, and this is just more the worst Berserk player.
Yeah, unfortunately, Roaches, they can't spit up, so you know, they're not going to be able to attack these Banshees. They can just get picked off if they move across the map. And overall, it's just a very uncomfortable position for DRG, who's still only sitting at 52 workers. He's continuing to try and drone up, but I mean, right now, Cure can just prepare for a push. Cure's got tanks, Cure's got Marines, he's got Banshees, Hellions. There's really just everything to work with for the Terran. And unfortunately for the Zerg, well, you haven't scouted out the fact that that's 2 medevacs full of Marines and a tank coming across the map.
I think this is going to be a painful push here for DRG. Cure has just a little bit of everything. He's got an overwhelming force. These Banshees have not found any response yet from the Zerg player. And as Cure pushes in, Queen's going to get picked off, and DRG just has to tap out. GG is called, and Cure advances on to Code S with a 2-0 sweep over his opponent, DRG.